Hello, I think most of you know me, but if not, my name is Richard, and Tonomi was my mother-in-law. It's been said that you don't realize the value of someone in your life until they become just a memory. Tonomi is that memory for me right now, and I'd like to share a couple of my memories of her to you. My mother-in-law first came to visit America from India over 32 years ago. Then after the unfortunate death of her husband, she came back here to stay. In many ways, Kanu became our children's second mother. They were very small. She not only took care of them when we were working, but helped raise them along with us. I remember Kanu as very, very helpful as these years passed and as our children also passed through their grades at school. She was also very proud of them. She was often with us at those school graduations and many other achievements in their life. Kanu also went with our early family to many places, including to relatives in other states, churches, stores, beaches, and even camping. And I've got a camping story for you now that Kanu was part of. It was late in maybe November. It was cold out. Too cold to be camping, but me and Rinmoy were young and not very smart. Kanu and her friend Pisami asked, "Can we come with you this time?" They wanted to know what, especially Pisami, she'd never seen camping. "We want to see exactly what you do." So we got to the campsite. They came with us. We went to the campsite, parked the car. They stayed in the car, Pisami and my mother-in-law. We got out, set up the tent. We had firewood, and no sooner had we got the tent up, it started raining. So we got inside the tent, but not Kanu, not Pisami. They stayed in the car that was running with the heat on, nice and warm and dry, while we shivered. Well, long story short, we were hoping the rain to stop, but after 2 hours of nonstop rain and freezing to death, we gave up, got in the car, left the tent there, and we drove back home. Kanu was very particular about certain things, and she was not shy to let you know sometimes. I repeat, she was very particular. I remember how much Kanu loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and in particular, creamy peanut butter and strawberry jam. I like to think that she was probably making those sandwiches many years, long time ago when our children were small, and then she had one herself. I remember in her last couple of years, she would eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for breakfast almost every single day, and sometimes even as a late night snack. To be sure, I often would go to the store and buy 2 jars of peanut butter and 2 jars of jelly, so not to run out. But sometimes it didn't matter, we still ran out. Besides her typical miso foods, she also liked paratha, but only plain paratha, and only that brand that comes from Malaysia, not from the Philippines or anywhere else. She also loved Ricola herbal cough drops, and she sucked on them like candy. But most importantly, she only wanted or liked Asian best jasmine rice. And you know, the one that has the one red elephant on the cover of the bag. Not 2 elephants, not a fish. Very particular. So if the store was all out of that brand, you'd have to either have to go to another store or hope she didn't notice. But amazingly, she usually did notice, and she said, "This rice doesn't taste good. Did you get the right rice?" I remember Canoe before the age of the internet, for you older people, and how she would listen to sermons and miso music on cassette tapes on her tape player. She would listen over and over sometimes until those cassettes broke, and if you're old enough to remember, you'd hit the eject button, but the cassette was jammed, and then once you finally got that cassette out, the tape was stuck, and then it would start pulling out and twist, and you tried to get it not to rip if you could, but sometimes that didn't help. More recently, she also watched church services online, but I usually would have to find the channel and turn it on for her. No, she could turn the TV on and off. When it came to YouTube, she couldn't switch it from one thing to another. This was the case every week, especially when it came time for Friday night Vespers. But then also during the week, she also would watch miso sermons, pretty much every night. She'd watch them over and over, in fact, the same ones. And she'd watch them from her favorite pastors, of which there were 3. Of course, one was her own pastor. But honestly, the one she watched the most was, and if you know who I'm talking about, Pastor P.L. Biakchona. She loved his sermons on TV. As many of you knew, Canoe loved to garden, and she grew vegetables every year, including pumpkin leaves, Corella long beans, on tour, and other things. Her gardening, I believe, really kept her physically fit. I remember Canoe was careful with her money, but at the same time, she would easily share it, especially among family, and sometimes friends in India, if they needed help. She also put aside her money on Fridays for church, but then during the week, she would often go to secondhand stores, her favorite ones, and buy some clothes, or thrift stores, that is. I remember also, if Canoe disagreed with your own purchases, she would say sometimes in English, no buy, not economical. But really, Canoe loved her children, all of them, her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. And they loved her back. They loved their uppy. I remember recently this one incident. Our granddaughter, Mila Jo, would go up to Canoe's bedroom, kick the door open, surprise Canoe. Canoe would just laugh, go over and get her raisins that she always kept in her room and gave it to Mila Jo. There's many other memories I think I have, but I want to leave it at that. I guess my fondest memory, though, of Canoe and my respect of her is her seriousness, as she would often ask to pray for our family those many years that she lived with us. So let me say, Canoe, we miss and we love you. Thanks for those many, many memories. May you rest in peace until we meet again.